Wizard101 is a really old game with a thriving community that still loves it to this day. I found this game through an ad on YouTube. Ads were the main way I saw things to play as a kid. After I got on it though, I was hooked. I loved this game as a kid, and back then I couldn't get membership, so I had to find more creative ways to enjoy the game, since most of it is locked behind a paywall. One way I enjoyed it was by grinding gold. Not like there was much else to do anyway. I grinded so much that I got enough gold to buy a black horse mount from a crown shop. After you get membership, it's really easy to get enough gold to get a mount. I'm going to list off some good and bad things I like about the game. The two features I like are gardening and pets. The house decoration is also sort of tied into them. Gardening is a nice side hobby in the game and can give you some really good rewards, and they're the main way I got snacks for my pets. The pet system is a bit tedious, but can be really rewarding. I remember when they were first added to the game, they couldn't be used in combat, but now they can get skills and cast extra spells to help you. After they added that, it was worth it to invest your time into a good pet. They added a co-op thing too, where you can list your pet for breeding and someone else can use that pet to breed their own. That's how I got my insanely good pet that casts spells really often. It helps out people who don't have time for pet grinding. You can also make your pets wander around your house or courtyard, and it just adds a little more charm to your housing. Another thing I really loved was the little quiz to get your school. It's a fun way for the main player base to get matched with the school that they would like. I remember enjoying it a lot and trying to get the different classes through the quiz. Such a small thing really made me happy, you know? The music also really struck me as a kid. The music is not really something you notice much of in this game. The spell sound effects are usually louder, and the audio is just kind of poorly made. However, there really isn't a problem with the music. It's charming and memorable, and when I heard it again, this wave of nostalgia hit me. I also like that things download while you're playing, but when you first download the game and want to get in, it should download those specific assets first so you can jump right in. The other assets can get downloaded while you play after that. It isn't too much of a big deal though. The final thing I like is the combat system. It's alright, and you can definitely say it's unique. The gameplay mainly involves stalling for time and stacking a ton of buffs on yourself so you can one-shot enemies. What's really satisfying though is stacking so many buffs on yourself. You can do tens of thousands of damage. Now is a good time to talk about enchants. Enchants are something you unlock later in the game, and they can enhance the spells you cast before you even cast them. Couple that with the blade buffs that just make your next spell do more damage, and you can stack a ton of damage through that. You see, the blades don't stack with each other, but with an enchanted version, both the enchant and normal version go through on the same spell. There are multiple blade spells, but some are exclusive to certain schools. This is where you get teamwork to put all the blades on one person to wipe out all the enemies in one go. The animations for the spells are really well done too, so it's even more satisfying to go through dungeons like that. The way I'm describing this combat mechanic, you may be wondering how difficult this game is, considering it's a game for kids and teens. The game is not really difficult if you have friends or queue up with randoms. Friends make this game a little more bearable, but it still isn't much better. The most fun thing to do is run dungeons with friends or do the story quests together. Many of the endgame bosses that show up in dungeons have what are called cheats. If you meet a certain requirement, they will interrupt your spellcasting and do something. Sometimes they don't really matter, but sometimes they will screw you over really bad. If you don't look up the bosses and what they can do, I'm sure you would have a bit of a rough time and die a bit. The main thing you want friends for is to save your time. Maybe they know about what the bosses can do beforehand, but it's also just a lot easier to fight together rather than separately. While it may be possible to solo a lot of stuff, you'd be wasting a lot of your time. I have a lot more to complain about rather than good for Wizard101. I was just hit by nostalgia so bad that I wanted to play this game, but I do kind of regret it. I only got this far in the game because I didn't want to waste my membership that I had already paid for. I'll list off some stuff I don't like about this game. I'll try to be constructive though, and give a way to fix some of the problems as well. The first thing is that the chat filter is awful. I get that it's a game for kids, but you can barely say anything in this game. You have to be 13 and up to remove the safe chat, but you can barely say anything of substance because the game thinks every word in the dictionary means something bad. I just wanted to do a mild bit of tomfoolery. The next thing is that the game has these member benefits, perks and bonuses that only members get. When I first saw them, I thought they were cool and made membership a little more worth it. Little did I know they aren't permanent. They're like events where you can get the benefits sometimes. The benefits themselves also have caveats. There's a benefit for a free second roll on a boss trap chest, but you can only do it once. What's even the point of giving me that then? It's like a spit in the face. The crown shop is also really weird because you will buy items with real world money, but eventually the gear won't be useful anymore. I think the solution to this is to make the armor sort of evolve with your character and their level. Base the armor around a certain factor like damage or resistance and just make it increase with every level your character gains. That's something I also don't like in the Elder Scrolls games, because the legendary weapons you happen to find early game just end up becoming useless later on. I really think the game's story and gameplay really declined for me after Dragonspire, which is the first story arc of the game. Even the first story arc isn't so great though. You notice after the 4th or 5th world that the game just loves to waste your time. They give you quests that are RNG based drops. This means you have to do multiple fights against enemies to get the item to drop. Couple that with the slow endgame leveling and it doesn't feel like you're even progressing at all sometimes. This game basically encountered a lot of problems other MMOs have. They just added so much stuff, most of it useless, that there's too many things going on. I don't get why they added fishing. Crafting is useless because it's a lot better to just get drops from bosses. Then they added monstrology, which is cool I guess, but it's just another thing to confuse new players. They made taking screenshots an entire feature in questline for some reason too. I feel like they just spend so much time on stuff that people don't want for this game. I just feel like the size of this game is just way bigger than most other MMOs. Like, I don't get why there's a jump button when it doesn't really do anything to help gameplay. It just seems like it's something to take up your storage, because there needs to be animations for every mount and costume to accommodate jumping. Sure, it might not save a lot of storage, but it would certainly help the long wait times for stuff to download. I noticed that there's a lot of empty houses in this game too. Most of the game is just empty space and decoration. It would be nice to make it all have a purpose. A cool idea would be to make these empty houses player houses. It would be sold on an auction, and since there's a limited supply of these houses, it would be a rare item and incentivize players to spend money. So it would be a good business move too. The players themselves can decide whether or not they can let people in. It would be a special feeling to know that you own that house in the commons, right next to the waterfall. One last thing annoyed me, and I just wanted to put it at the end here. Every time you close the game, it also opens a window in your browser to the website. It's a mild inconvenience, but please just get rid of it. They really have changed so much about this game than what I remember. A lot of stuff is for the better. They updated the graphics and made it a lot cleaner. They also added teleporters in areas so you can get around faster. Walking was a big part of the game for a lot of the quests, so this is a really good change. They also added a couple more quests for the free-to-play players, so maybe they'll have enough XP to get an extra level or two. They added skeleton key dungeons too, which gives somewhat better loot. Another big part of the game was waiting for the animations to load. Before the updates, the AoE spells had to repeat the animation once for every enemy. After a certain point though, they just started making AoE spells hit everything at once instead of one at a time. But I see now that they updated every AoE spell to do that, even the older ones. Nowadays, you can get the first zone for free on certain weekends. You can get the second zone now, I think too. It's surprising it's still up, considering most of the 2000 MMOs have been abandoned. If it were gone though, I would definitely be sad. If you've never played this game before, you should check it out and see what you think about it. That's it for the video. Let me know what game you'd like me to cover next.